Hello world, Wendy from Cali here, back with another Manny chat. I have 6 more Manny bingo squares to do in less than 2 weeks. I've got the exclusive use midnight in Manhattan or cut your strips, use an accent strip or make a fancy accent finger, a negative space accent finger, or full set of negative space, inspired by one of Stacy Adams' Stacy Sassy Styles YouTube videos. I've got contrasting colors or tone on tone, and inspired by someone you love or your favorite hobby left to do. And I've got less than 2 weeks to do it because the end of August is when the Manny Bingo is over. So I need to really step up my game. 6 Mannies in 2 weeks. So that means I'm going to be changing my Mannies a lot more this week and next week. And yeah, probably won't film them all, but I'll at least get a couple of them up here on YouTube for you guys. As I mentioned in my last video, which was just an unboxing of the August 2024 Color Street Color Play subscription box, Bazaar Explorer, I really wanted to use this set, Silk Mirage, and so that is what I'm going to be using today. I am doing the one with a negative space accent nail with this set because that's the easiest to do with a one set to be able to fulfill one of the Bingo Manny squares. So we will get started on that and I will show you what I'm going to do. So if you are new to this channel, hi, Wendy from Cali, born and raised in Cali. I just do my nails and chit chat about life. If you're into that, keep watching. If not, keep moving. For those that are back, thank you for continuing to support my channel by watching my silly videos. I do these little video diaries, vlogs I call them, with me just doing my nails and chit-chatting about life so that I can see what Mannies were I wearing when I was doing whatever it was in my life that I was doing. So I put on my base coat, Color Street's Ridge Filling Nail Primer, and gotta let that dry really quick and talk about what happened this past week. So what happened this past week? Did I talk about us going to see one of my former coworker, Melissa? Her son had a birthday party, 8th birthday party, and my panda bear, which is my significant other, myself, his sister, my sister-in-law Carla, and her kids, and her current boyfriend's kid and himself. All of us were all invited to Melissa's for a pool party, birthday party for Vincent, and it was so much fun. We were in the pool for so many hours and had so much sun, got a little bit sunburnt, but it was worth it. Like, we all had such a blast, and Melissa sure knows how to throw a great party. I'll tell her that much. But yeah, we did that on the past weekend, and then my parents, the Rents I call them, and Panda Bear and I went to have, where did we eat? We ate at a new restaurant that just opened up here in the city of Monterey Park where I live, and the food was absolutely amazing. It's like Hong Kong style, like breakfast, where you order a dish and it comes with a free drink. Very worth the trip. And so that was a lot of fun. We also had gone shopping, and I got to buy more tea from the tea place that is nearby that restaurant. When I was much younger, when Tijuana still existed in the different malls of America here, when Tijuana used to have stores, I would go and buy teas from Tijuana, and I loved it. There were so many different teas to choose from, especially the fruit teas. I love, love, love fruit teas. When you make them iced, and they're just super delicious. Better than Kool-Aid. Better for you than Kool-Aid, I would think, too. But when Teavana, I think when Starbucks bought up Teavana and closed out all the stores, you can only get Teavana tea now at Starbucks, and it's like very limited. So I have not gotten Teavana tea in a very long time. And I've always been wanting to find a new tea place. So, this place that's near the restaurant that we ate at over the past weekend has amazing teas. It's like a Chinese store that sells a lot of different types of teas, and they have different sales depending on like what like week it is or whatever. And so the last time we were there, I got a cream peach. Yeah, it was cream peach or peach cream tea, which was so good iced. And I also had purchased a jasmine tea when we were there the last time. And then this time when we went, sorry, Mirage. I'm trying to spell while I'm talking and I can't do it. This time when we went, I bought some Silver Dragon green tea, which I remember buying from Teavana, and so I was very excited that this tea place had it as well, and it's really good green tea. It was on sale too, so it was worth it. Alright, let's first place out what I'm going to be using today and put aside the ones I'm not going to be using. Color Street, for those that don't know, it's 100% nail polish made into these semi-dry nail strips. Once you open the package, the air starts kind of completing the rest of the drying of the nail strips, and so it's really important that you place them on your nails kind of in a timely fashion. And then for those that you don't end up using, it's a one-time use product basically, but some of us like to use it more than just a one-time use. We try to seal them up, whether it's throwing them in our freezer, which I don't do. I like using my flat iron for my hair to heat seal in the original packaging the nails that I don't use, and try to save them for using either on my nieces or on myself for another mixed mani. And so that's what I'm going to do with that one. Oh, but I do need, well, let's see. My nails are kind of short, so we might be able to get away with using one strip for 2 nails. And that's another reason, if you have short nails, you can kind of be a little frugal and savvy with this and not have to use so many strips. But Color Street, if you actually look at their website, it says it's a one-time use product, and yeah, they have different nails, so you can pick and choose which ones are going to fit your specific nail size, and the rest gets wasted, which I feel like it shouldn't get wasted. And that's the reason why a lot of us like to kind of save our strips, and especially if you're opening up more than one set, which I'm not doing that today, but I've done it many times before. So yeah, try and save it, but don't be disappointed if it doesn't stay, if it's not usable later. There are ways you can kind of revive the nail strip by using a little bit of nail polish remover to kind of like moisten it and then get it on your nail. Also, Orly Bonder is really great. Things I learned from Stacy Adams. If you don't follow her, her YouTube channel and Facebook group are below in the description of this video. I've learned so much from her. She really is the inspiration for me getting started on doing my own YouTube videos. But yeah, when I first learned about Color Street in 2021, I didn't know very much about it. I was invited to what was called a nail bar back then, and it was like just an online nail party that my cousin Jennifer invited me to, and I really didn't know too much. And then I went through a whole deep dive of the history of Color Street and all of that, and that's how I found Stacy Adams' channel. And also Tara Stoddard. She doesn't make videos right now anymore because she's busy, but she's a Color Street stylist, and her videos also really inspired me to do my own videos. And so just learning about the history of Color Street and all of that. My sister-in-law Carla was a Color Street stylist for a bit of time. She has since ceased being a Color Street stylist, but I still have other Color Street stylists that I support, and so it's not the end of the world. I can still buy my Color Street, get my Color Street fix from those folks. Okay, so negative space here. This is what I wanted to do, and of course I forgot to bring out my hole punch, so I'm gonna find that hole punch right now. And good thing it was one that I recently used not that long ago, so it's right at the top of the pile. But I'm basically going to cut this so that I can make a little negative space, i.e. French tip, from this nail here. So I'm just going to place that in there like this. And then 1, 2, 3, snap. And then just place this like a French tip, and then I'll put a top coat over it. That color is just so beautiful. It's like my skin but shinier. Flesh toned. I love it. But yes, I'm trying to get this mani done in a hurry because Panda Bear and I are going to go have a Sunday fun day date. I ordered a pair of work pants because in a couple of months I have a conference to attend in Florida, and during the pandemic, I had gotten rid of a lot of my business clothes because I was like, I'm not going to fit these anymore. They're all outdated. Let's get rid of them. And when we came back, we hadn't had too much like business travel or anything like that. Oop, that's a little crooked. So let's fix this. There hasn't been very much like business travel for me, at least. I've had visited some clients here and there that locally, so there's no like traveling by plane or anything like that. I'm like really afraid. Not really afraid. I'm afraid of flying, but I do it when I have to do it, and it looks like I'm gonna have to do it in a few months. And so with that said, I went shopping online, bought a new pair of business pants that I thought would be nice, but when I tried them on when they arrived, Panda Bear said they didn't look professional enough. And so we've been waiting and waiting and waiting for us to have time to be able to go and return the pants and see if I can buy something else, if I can find something else. And so today, the day has arrived because it is like a week before the last day we can do a return on the pair of pants. So Panda Bear's making it into a day date for us where we're gonna go do some shopping, we're gonna go out to eat and all of that, and then yeah. So I need to make my nails look pretty, and I'm wearing a dress, also because dresses are easy to pull off when you're in a fitting room. So that's why I'm wearing a dress. I'm gonna do my hair, just curl my bangs just a little bit so that my bangs are not all up in my eyes, and do my makeup. And I get to use the eye makeup, the eyeshadow that came with this Color Street Color Play box this month. So I'm excited to do that. All right, enough talk. Let's get back to the nails really quick here. But that's my negative space. I was thinking I had pulled out nail stickers and I just totally lost track of where I had put them. But looking at my nails like this, I'm thinking that I might actually not use a nail sticker. I feel like just the natural nail looks really nice there. But let me think about it while we continue putting the strips on my nails here. So, back to life. Back to life. Back to reality. That song, if you guys don't know it, if you guys never watched the Disney Channel and Mickey Mouse Club, that song was featured on one of the episodes, and that song is very reminiscent of my childhood. So every time I hear that song, I love it so much. But seriously though, back to life, back to reality, back to work. It was a really long work week this past week. We had the owner of the company, his wife's nephew, it was his last week. He was an intern for us for the past couple of months, and it was his last week this week. So what I did was, well, first on Tuesday I had brought candied pecans because I made a whole bunch of candied pecans, and whenever I do that and I make, oh, is this gonna fit? Let's find out. Whenever I make something at home and it's a big batch and my family doesn't want to be the only ones eating it, the folks at work get to partake in enjoying. So I made homemade pecans, and it was a humongous batch because Panda Bear bought a big bag of pecans at Costco. It was like 2 pounds of pecans, and usually the recipe only calls for 1 pound, and so it was double the recipe. So I decided to take that to work and shared it with everyone. And then on Friday, which was Charlie's last day, I had brought some homemade cookies. They were oatmeal chocolate chip cookies, but Wendyfied. What does that mean? Everything in the kitchen sink went into those cookies. So on Tuesday of the week, we had this little review session game. I like to do that whenever I do training. There is this website called factile.com where you can create Jeopardy style games. And I like to do training with my team members, my employees, and then at the end do this kind of review session. And so we did that with some of my employees as a review, as well as with Charlie, because we were, as an intern, providing him, just a broad overview of all the things we do at work. And at that game, I had asked him, hey, what's your favorite cookies? Because he was complimenting on the candied pecans that I had brought for work. And I was like, thinking to myself, let's make Charlie some cookies for his last day. And so he said that his favorite was oatmeal raisin. Blech. I don't like raisins. I mean, I do and I don't. I don't like raisins in my cookies. I don't know why. I just don't. Raisins in my granola, I'll take it. But raisins on their own, I'll take it. But raisins in my cookies, ew. So I was like, oh yeah, oatmeal raisin. And I was just kind of poking fun at him because I don't like raisins, but you know, everyone's got their own favorite cookies or whatever. He's like, oh yeah, well, my mom used to make oatmeal chocolate chip cookies too. I'm like, oh yeah, those sound really good. And then I was asking him if he's ever had oatmeal scotchies before, which are oatmeal cookies with butterscotch chips in them. And he's like, no, I've never had those before. So then I thought to myself, oh, maybe we'll make oatmeal scotchies. But then I was like, well, he's never had them, and what if he's not a fan of butterscotch? Then if I make oatmeal scotchies, then it would be like, you know, not appealing if he's not a fan of butterscotch. So he had also mentioned he likes like macadamia nuts. I mean, who doesn't like macadamia nut white chocolate chip cookies, right? And so what I did was I made an oatmeal cookie base, but I added to it semi-sweet chocolate chips, dark chocolate chips, white chocolate chips, butterscotch chips, and macadamia nuts. And so it was my own little oatmeal chip cookie, and yeah, it was a hit. So that was pretty much Friday rolled up into a neat little bow, because we don't want to talk about work. So Saturday was yesterday. So okay, this is how busy work has been. I'll tell you this much. Friday I came home. We were supposed to, my sister-in-law Carla and I, go to Zumba, but she had accidentally rolled her ankle and it was hurting, and she was icing it and resting it. So no Zumba. So I had a lot of work to do. So when I got home from work, it was more work. Continue with more work. And so continued with more work. And Panda Bear made me an amazing steak dinner, which thanks to my mom who bought these steaks. This might be TMI, but Aunt Flo is in town, so I need all the red meat iron I can get. So those steaks were godsend. So thank you, Mom, for buying them, and thank you, Panda Bear, for making them. But he made me this amazing steak dinner, which completely knocked me out. I fell asleep on a Friday night. It was before 8 p.m., I'll tell you that. But I woke up a few minutes before midnight, and I was like, holy crap, I still have a lot of work to do. And so I logged back in and did about 4 or 5 hours of work in the middle of the night, because Saturday was going to be busy and I did not have time to do the work during the day, and so I knew I had to do it when I did it. And so middle of the night, did about 4 hours of work getting stuff prepared for some of my employees who are working a bit of overtime over the weekend, so that they had work to do. And then Panda Bear woke up. He was going to go to the gym really early in the morning before we headed out for our day. And so when he went to the gym, I went back to sleep for a few more hours, because I only had like less than 4 hours of sleep. And so I got another 3 or so hours of sleep while Panda Bear was at the gym. And then I woke up and we pretty much headed out. So the day was full of taking my nieces, Malika and Lilith to the library because their library books were due. So Lilith finally decided to read one of the books. We picked out so many different books for her, chapter books, knowing that she wasn't going to read them all, but she had choices so that she can pick one that she really wants to read. And so she ended up picking Ramona the Pest, which is an awesome book for 8-year-olds to read. And she loved it. She finished it. And she wanted to read the first book, Beezus and Ramona, which came before Ramona the Pest, which I didn't know that. Like, when I was growing up, I just distinctly remember reading Ramona the Pest and Ramona the Brave. But apparently there's a whole series for Ramona Quimby, and the first book, I guess, is Beezus and Ramona. So we got that book at the library for Lilith, and there are a few other books that she wanted to renew, and luckily nobody had placed it on hold at the library. So we renewed Charlotte's Web. We also renewed New Kid on the Block, which was Jack Perlexky's book of poems. She really loved that book, and so do I, because homework, oh homework, I hate you, you stink. That poem was the one I had to memorize and recite in front of my class, and so I had told her that, and she loves that poem too. So yeah, we did that, and then there was one book, what was it called? Kitty Cat, Are You Asleep? Or something like that. There was one book that Amalika wanted us to renew. So luckily all 3 of the books were not on hold by anybody else. And so we were able to renew those books for another 3 weeks. And then I got to pick out new books. So I made sure to pick out Beezus and Ramona. And luckily it was there at the library. Nobody had it checked out. So that was one of the books that I checked out for Lilith. And there were a few more books. I found a book full of knock-knock jokes, which I think they're going to enjoy a lot, because in our car ride to Melissa's house last week, the girls were trying to tell us made-up knock-knock jokes that they made up. And Uncle and I, Panda Bear and I, were like, yeah, those aren't funny. Like, they made them up and they're silly, but they weren't actually funny. And so I was telling them jokes that I found on the website, on this website that was like full of kids' jokes, and they were having such a good time with the jokes. I mean, some of them were pretty lame, and the girls were like, that's not funny. But yesterday when we were driving to the library, they were like, Auntie, tell us some jokes. And I'm like, no, I'm too tired to tell jokes right now. We will do that another time. So finding that knock-knock book joke, or knock-knock joke book, bleh, I can't talk right now, at the library, I figured they will enjoy that a lot. So we'll see, because every time we go to the library, we try to check out a total of 10 books, because if it's a perfect 10, then it's easy to remember, okay, we've got 10 books we got to return the next time we go to the library. So this time around, knowing that the girls really don't need to have like 10 books for themselves, Auntie took out 2 books for myself, for me. So one of the books was part of the School for Good and Evil. There was one book that my library apps, Libby and Palace app, didn't have, and I found the hardcover book. So the Fall of the School for Good and Evil, or something like that. So I have that book that I get to read within the next 3 weeks. Gotta make sure I fill in the time and read that book before the 3 weeks are up. And then there was another humongous book about Percy Jackson's Greek gods. And I guess it's just like a explanation book of all the Greek gods that were mentioned in the Percy Jackson series books by Rick Riordan. And so I thought that was really cool. I really enjoyed that series of books, and so I wanted to read through that book. And so those were the 2 books I got from the library. Right now, though, what I am reading off of my library app is a book called How to Manage Your Household Without Losing Your Mind by Dana K. White. She has a blog called A Slob Comes Clean. So aslobcomesclean.com. She has a blog. She also has a YouTube channel. And I read her other book, Decluttering at the Speed of Life. And so I really wanted to read her first book, which is this one that I'm reading right now. And so that is the book I'm currently reading off of my library app as an ebook. And then the book I'm currently listening to is a book by Shonda Rhimes. Shonda Rhimes, if that name sounds familiar, it's because she is the writer for Grey's Anatomy, Scandal, Private Practice, Bridgerton. You hear about Shondaland. That's her. And so I'm listening to her audiobook, Year of Yes. And so that is what I'm currently reading, listening to, enjoying. And then, of course, TV-wise, streaming-wise, we were watching Cobra Kai, but that's on hold right now because we're done with the season until they release the next half of the season, which I think is going to be in next year, 2025. And so Panda Bear's friend Gil actually advised him to watch a Korean drama called Alchemy of Souls. And so that is what Panda Bear and I are currently watching when we have time. It's really good. I love it so much. And then what am I currently listening to as far as music goes? I can't stop listening to Descendants, The Rise of Red, the soundtrack. Now, the movie itself was decent. It was enjoyable, but it's not one that I would watch over and over again. However, the music from that movie is phenomenal, in my opinion. And so I've been re-listening to that soundtrack every time I'm cooking, baking, whenever I need music in the background. That is what I'm listening to. And that is what my nieces love listening to in the car as well. Well, they all have their own favorite songs. The youngest one, Amalika, loves Loving It. And then currently Lilith is a fan of What's My Name, red version. And for me, right now, currently, my favorite is Get Your Hands Dirty. Every time I listen to that song, I tear up at one of the parts. And so if you have seen the movie and or you have heard the soundtrack, comment below if you know which part I'm talking about that will make me tear up. But this right here is the final mani. I am going to put a top coat over this because, of course, you can feel right here where the French tip is. It needs a top coat so that it doesn't feel like that. But I'm going to do that off camera. So here we go. If you made it all the way to the end, I commend you. Hope you enjoyed. And yeah, if you can't think of anything to comment below, let's have you comment with a thumbs up emoji, because when the girls were swimming, when they had their swim lesson yesterday, it was a whole hour long. They also had a swim lesson on Thursday that was 40 minutes long, and every time they were doing well, Auntie and Uncle gave them a thumbs up. And so go ahead and thumbs up emoji in the comments if you've watched all the way to the end and you can't think of anything to say. And yeah, if you haven't already, like, comment, subscribe, share, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.